The following is a special presentation of iRacing on LSRTV, your home for sim racing.
And welcome to LSRTV as we bring you all the nights of action here from round number 6 of your Bootleg Racing League Outlaw Modified Series Frog Foundation 100 live from Myrtle Beach Speedway. Randy Cheneth, Austin Coop, Cisco Scaramouza bringing you all the action in this one as practice getting ready to come to an end. And Austin, has been an exciting championship thus far, and J.R. Shepard has been having a pretty dominating performance, but he currently does not lead the points.
Yeah, last week he went ahead and took the checkered flag, I do believe, and it was a one of those wins where it kind of was when he wasn't ready to, I don't think, and kind of just happened in front of him, was able to get the lead, and just had a couple more laps after the caution flag. But at this point in the season, anything can happen. You still have a few more weeks. You know, we're about the midway through. You know, you went through Langley, Oxford, Lucas Oil, and now we've got Myrtle Beach tonight, 5 flags. We're not yet to halfway, but we're getting close, and the points picture will start to look up here in the next few weeks.
This, of course, being round number 6, only going to be 4 rounds. Let me just double check my math here. No, excuse me, 5 rounds following this one. This is an 11-round championship. Donnie Moore currently leads the points by 1 point over J.R. Shepard, and then Swan Alphonse only 2 points back. So your top 3 all very tightly contested here, as we have 6 more seconds left here from, if I were to go back into a time machine, maybe even one that was a hot tub, to 1958 here at the Ramby Speedway. We're getting ready to get this grid sorted, and 100 laps of action coming at you for the Chris Kyle Frog Foundation 100 here on LSR TV. So as the cars are going to come off track for practice, and we're going to get this grid sorted, let's go down your starting grid here on LSR TV. Mike Holloway is going to lead them to the green flag tonight with Stefan Alphonse on the outside of that front row. John Holcomb and John Hine will make up row John, and James Lowe and Brian Den, they'll round out your top 6.
And you've got Donnie Moore. He'll start in the 7th position with Lowell Jewell. I don't know where Logan came from, but Lowell Jewell, he'll start from the 8th position. Then Matt Shinoski will start from the 5th row inside. Then J.R. Shepard, he's close to getting that lead in the point standing, but he's got a few drivers to pass to get that back. And then you've got Mike Allen, who starts 11th. Eric Nordhoff will start for the 12th position. And then Todd Liston will start for 13th. Kenny Litkibbe, 14th. Dustin Powers will start 15th. Jeff Sharp, 16th. And then the final row in the grid tonight will be Tim Shinoski and Chip Dickert.
Now, talking about this Myrtle Beach Speedway, Austin, you guys here at LSR, I mean, you guys are probably the experts. You have a league that you guys broadcast for this track here. And what are some fun facts about the racetrack that you can give me, because you are much, much more in tune with that than I am?
Well, I'll tell you here, Randy, that this is a half-mile oval, like we've seen on a lot. But what makes Myrtle Beach so tricky, so interesting, is it's the turn 4. And front straight is a lot like New Smyrna. It curves but comes back in. It might catch you off for a loop, and then turn 1's a very large sweep, and then turn 3 and 4 is nothing like turn 1. And because of that, because of the terrain of this track, it is an asphalt track, but this track absolutely eats tires like no other short track out there. And that is the biggest reason why this has, I think, the most discipline of different drivers that come through here.
So the pace car ducks onto pit road, and we take the field through corners number 3 and 4. We can look to the 31 of Mike Holloway, who's bringing them to the green flag. Waiting. Green flag flies, and Mike Holloway gets on the gas pedal, and it's a good jump for that 31 car over the rest of the field, and we are green in the Chris Kyle Frog Foundation 100 live on LSRTV.
Right lead by him, and then they go 2 by 2 for the second position. And looks like that's going to be John Holcomb in the 69 that's ready to do battle. He's going to be on the inside of the 75. Oh, like I said, the wall, he got it. Oh, no. I told you that was going to happen.
I think you're right. I think that's exactly what we saw happen here. Just people maybe not used to this Myrtle Beach Speedway. That wall jumps out, and I think he was either concentrating on a black box or looking at his mirrors, something, trying to see where John Holcomb was going. But that's going to be big damage for that 75 car. Field's going to get woed up, and he's going to have to use a reset early in this one, as well as anyone else that got caught up in that incident, because that was a big problem for this field. I think we had close to half a dozen cars or so at least get a piece of that.
It hit that wall so hard that he ricocheted back in oncoming traffic, and there's a lot of drivers that just had nowhere to go. You're seeing it on the replay right now, it just comes right back into the 5, and then a couple other drivers get mixed up in it as well. And what a shame for those guys. And I think we have one guy turned over too. I'm unsure who that is, but
J.R. Shepard in the 98 is who that was.
Oh wow, we were just talking about great things for him. And John Hayne has a broken axle, so he has to get a repair for that one. So big wreck on lap number 2, turn number 1.
A big incident indeed here, as we're cycling under the caution currently, and gonna be a lot of unhappy people about that, especially J.R. Shepard. If memory serves, the last of these races I had the chance to do was from Martinsville a couple weeks back, and J.R. didn't have a good opening round, or he didn't have a good let's say conclusion to that race. It started out better than this, but he got caught out in other people's incidents, I think 3 or 4 times on that evening. And I come back and JR finds himself in the wall with a smoking engine, having to take a tow, and possibly what we hope is not the start of his second half of the championship, considering where he is in the points.
Yeah, this is going to be an uphill battle, but we saw drivers last week get their laps back, Randy, and I know he went up and over, but this caution period is going to help him. And if a couple cautions come out, he will have the opportunity to take advantage of getting the wave around if he's that driver. So I think that's his best bet to keep it going. But this is going to be a brutal blow to him if he is not able to get back out there quickly.
So field gets themselves formed back up, and I have to say, I don't think we're going to see the J.R. Shepard really bounce back from this unless it's a caution-filled night. So right now we have John Hine 1 lap down in the 75, Lowell Jewell 2 laps down in the 5, and J.R. Shepard right now is 3 laps down. He is rolling off after getting that quick repair, so he'll be able to stabilize on 3 laps down. But Mike Holloway in the 31 going to be back in command of the field. We made it a lap and about 100 yards on your opening run. Let's see if we can go a little bit further than that. He gets back on that gas pedal. We are back to green flag racing in your Frog Foundation 100 as they run through corners number 1 and 2 for the second time under green flag conditions.
First few drivers get single filed out. Looks like the battle starts for the 5th position here. That looks to be the 03 of James Lowe on the outside, and Brian Dean. Oh, he's gonna get tagged. Oh no, got loose on the exit.
The 22 machine of Eric Nordoff is going to just plow right into him. I don't think he knew what was happening in front of him, and he unfortunately found the front Nerf bar of that spinning number 26 machine, Donnie Moore. And I mean, we've done 2 green flag laps, Austin, and that's 2 of our championship leaders out with motor problems.
I can't believe that just happened.
It certainly helps J.R. Shepard.
It does, but it doesn't help either of them if Stefan Alphonse is right there. I mean, he's now our points leader. I'm kind of speechless right now. That's incredible. I mean, that just does not happen. That's weird. That's all I can say there.
So maybe a bit of a full moon tonight in Florida at Myrtle Beach Speedway, as the field is going to be back under caution here for the second time in very, very quick succession. And it's been some big names that we've seen, not necessarily been the cause, but be on the bad luck of these yellow flags. One of them, they were the cause, but, well, they were part of the initial incident, let's just say. But still, this is just, it's so crazy here. As Donnie Moore, he's gonna find himself in the same situation as JR Shepard, I think, because he had to take a tow the same way JR did, and pretty much on the same part of the racetrack, which means I think the two of them will both be on the same lap once they go back out there. And you also have Lowell Jewell, who's 3 laps down with them as well.
Yeah, that's correct. So JR, he was in the last time, so he should be able to come out here in a little bit, take that soft repair, that quick repair. He'll take that quick repair and be able to get back out there. But Eric and Donnie, they're gonna have to wait for quite some time, and I actually think JR is back out there, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he's the tail end of the field, right in front of Lowell Jewell, who's also numerous laps down. Already 4 drivers 3 laps down. They've got some of those drivers who, these drivers, they got to hope for something big to happen later on in the race, or like you said, hope for a few more cautions, because they're not getting their laps back if we get a long green flag run. And I said that the tires are going to be a big factor, but Myrtle Beach by itself is still just a really hard track to tame, and you're seeing that as it is. It's, getting off the corner, these guys got to be real easy in the throttle on the exit. You cannot push too much into the corners, and you just got to be really easy. A lot easier said than done, though.
So lights are going to be back out on that pace car. We're going to reform up the field into 2x2, and well, I jinxed it the last time, so I'll just say this. Hopefully we get a quick caution, and then maybe that's what we'll get, what I actually want. But the 31 and the 13 on that front row to lead the field back to green flag racing here. Pace car back to the safety of pit road for the 3rd time this evening. And Mike Holloway, he's gone pretty much in the same spot twice now, and I think we're going to see more of the same from him. Waiting. Green flag's out, and he gets on that go pedal. Very good jump from the field behind. He doesn't have nearly the buffer we've seen in the past as he leads them through 1 and 2. And the 13 is Stefan Alphonse. He's going to be pushing up top while you have John Holcomb working the bottom of that 69 planners machine.
Yeah, as it was last time, these first few drivers, they get single file out, and see if we can make it a lap or so here. And looks like this is the farthest that we've ran so far, so kind of cross your fingers that these guys will get around, just because these cars are so wide. So I think that's one of the biggest things is I'm looking at the battle just outside the top 5. Looks like the 03, the 00, and the 59. Mike Allen's all in this. This is a big cluster right here, and he's going to be clear, that being the 00. He was almost on the outside, and I was really close, but getting a little feisty here for this lead as well.
Yeah, the 13 is Stefan Alphonse was side by side with Mike Holloway for a couple laps, and he's just been able to put that the Folds of Honor Flags Foundation car into the 2nd spot. So Stefan Alphonse in that Superflow Mopar machine is going to be looking to stretch his lead here. John Holcomb has latched himself right onto the rear of Mike Holloway, and Brian Dean has reeled in that 69 car as well. So 4 cars all very close. We got a big incident in 3 and 4.
Airborne, somebody was. I think that was Mike Allen. Just talked about him. Somebody was airborne for a good amount, and I think it happened to do with the backstretch wall. And I didn't get a chance to say that about this track, but that's something else about this track is the backstretch wall. If you graze it, you're gonna basically either turn the car, you're gonna be chugging the wheel, or turning the wheel so far to the left that you're gonna knock into somebody. So the 25 hits the wall, goes right back into the 59. He goes into the wall and basically helicopters back down to the ground.
Yeah, not a big, or not the sort of incident you ever really want to see. And that's 3 quick yellows with 3 big incidents here. That started with the 25 machine, and Dustin Powers sort of climbed that outside wall, clipped it with his right front, just picked the car up enough and threw it to the left to get into that spinning car that you saw that got airborne of Mike Allen in the 59. So a lot of big cautions here. All right. And you talked about it, Coop, the things that are so tricky about this racetrack compared to most, and that's really what we've seen cause the cautions. It's just people basically driving into those walls somehow on their own.
Yeah, I'm really not sure about it, but something that I might expect later on too is especially later on in the goings of this race, like towards like the last 10 laps, is here you can see here where in turn 1 with the pace car is down on the bottom. There's gonna be these little bumps. That's a no zone, Randy, unless you're in a car like a production car like the Ford Mustang that's actually pacing the field, or oddly enough a Pontiac Solstice. Don't ask me why, but those cars could kind of take that. But these cars that lay low to the ground, that it's a very hesitant zone to go across. You can maybe hit one or two and get some levy in it, but any more than that, you're probably going to spin your car out. So that's also another statistic or a fact about this track that's also difficult. But 3 cautions already has definitely this track has kind of trumped these guys a little bit.
Hopefully it's not a sign of things to come. Otherwise, we are going to be here for a long time. And we talked about him, the 98 of J.R. Shepard. He's going to be getting a lap back because we were only down to the cars that were 3 laps down or more, and he was leading that little 3-car field at the time. So he's going to go 2 laps down, and Donnie Moore and Lowell Jewell, they'll be fighting out to try to somehow, some way get a lap back. But J.R. Shepard dropping out of it so early and going 3 laps down first. Turns out he won a nice little race already here in this one. So even though he started the night off on the wrong foot, doing it early, proving to be a blessing.
Yeah, Stefan starting on the outside. He is in a great spot right now. The top 3 is still in the top 3, but they're not in the same order. But they have been kind of the class of the field right now. So we will see these 3 continue to battle. But also got to look at Brian Dean, like you said. He's in a great position from 6th to 4th. He might be able to get in this thing and start working with these guys.
So through 3 and 4, they're going to come, and Stefan Alphonse will lead us to the green flag here. As we're going to wait, and we are going to go back to green flag racing as that pink and white Mopar machine leads the field. Back down into 1 and 2. We've only managed to last a couple laps. Hopefully, we can go a little bit longer than that as the field works themselves off of corner number 2. Everyone needs to be aware of those walls, and I think everyone should be well aware by now. Stefan is going to lead them through 3 and 4. First side by side between Brian Dean and Matt Chinosky as they roll out onto the front straightaway. And we got 1 more lap done under green flag conditions.
There goes Brian Dean down to the bottom to try and get under the 69, but the outside's pretty strong at this track here, and you'll see that as the runs get longer, the long run, that outside's pretty strong. Let's see, look at the 69 right here on the outside of the 31, and now we're gonna go 3 wide. I think.
Oh, we got a car spun around out on the grass. Sorry to interrupt you. This is James Lowe from the middle of the field. I think someone made the same mistake Donnie Moore did and got around. It's actually started with the 25 machine, of Dustin Powers up top. He got a little bit loose, spun around, and I think he bumper hooked the 03.
Gotcha, but right up here towards the front now, we've got the 23 getting by the 31 of Mike Holloway, and that was Brian Dean we just talked about. He just got around all these guys and has made some real big headway, and looks like the 00 on the bottom, by Chinosky, he looks like he was really wheeling it there in the turn number 1, but we're a quarter of the way through this race now, and I think somebody hit the wall just briefly there. I think that might have been Tim Chinosky right here, but he's still going on straights going forward, is starting to get single file here as they start to go throughout this field.
That's Tim Chinosky putting Jeff Sharp in his rearview mirror as they roll off of corner number 4 and down the front straightaway once again. Matt Chinosky, the sibling of Tim, is going to have John Holcomb to deal with here as they work through 1 and 2. That 69 car very, very close. So that 00 has been quick, and we've been seeing him move up 5 positions as far as night. Started in 9th tonight and has found his way up into that 4th spot. Mike Holloway is currently dealing with that 00.
I do believe the 87 of Liston is actually... he had an issue. He had hit the outside wall, I think, or the inside wall, and he's actually completely out of this thing. So he had gotten up on a barrier and just could not get back down. So he's towing. He'll be back here in just a little bit. But looking at these cars and looking at their loose conditions, actually battle for 4th right now. That's going to be, looks to be the 00 Matt Chinosky. Yeah, he's already back on the inside of Mike Holloway. He started on pole, remember, and he's only going backwards right now. And Chinosky goes from 9th to 4th right now. He's trying to look for 3rd, trying to get on that podium.
Top side seeming like it's pretty strong, though. The 00 is going to drive it back down to the bottom of 1 and 2. Gets very close to those little curblets on the inside that Austin talked about. He's going to nose ahead, so managing the gap to those very well. Through 3 and 4, he's going to just slide in front of pole sitter and one-time race leader 31 of Mike Holloway, who falls down into the 4th position. And Matt Chinosky is going to be very happy to take that final podium spot away. The 69 of John Holcomb. I think he clipped one of those curblets, has to get way out of the throttle, and he got tagged by Tim Chinosky, and that pretty much sent the 69 machine around, but we stay green.
He needs to get going because he's just sitting there. So
he's stuck like on a pit lane entry on the back straightaway.
No, he's still got. Yeah, he still has the ability to keep going. Oh, he just destroyed the car. So unsure what's going on there, but unhappy nonetheless, and so I don't think he'll be returning back onto the track anytime soon because he's gonna have to get that car repaired. So looks like these drivers are starting to get pretty spread out other than that. But yeah, he caught that curb, and then the driver behind him, he was unaware that that was happening and just drove into him. There's nothing he could do about it.
Now, unfortunately for the 98 at JR Shepherd, some of these cars starting to drop out and struggle means that if we get another yellow, as Chip Dickert is actually down on towards pit road, the 98 car is currently not the leading candidate. We got another car, Todd Liston, he's back on the racetrack. He spins coming off corner number 4 down on the grass. So we're going to stay green once again, and he's going to tow it. We have just dodged about 4 cautions all right in a row.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons is because of that backstretch pit road and the grass on the front stretch, that there's areas that these drivers can safely get out of the harm's way. And I think for these drivers up front, and the drivers I'm talking about, Stefano Alphonse and Brian Dean, these guys can finally have a green flag run where they get to battle each other out based on their speed here tonight. And I think that's going to be really fun to watch how they're able to go through this night with a long green flag run. And also got to talk about Matt Chinoski, 3rd place from 9th. He's also going to be a big factor in this as well. And can't forget about the battle just outside the top 5 is, oh my goodness, Tim Chinoski. He is, wow, he almost lost that thing.
Yeah, he almost did indeed, and now he falls into the clutches of the 73 of Jeff Sharp, running through corners number 1 and 2, comes onto the back straightaway, climbs that wall a little bit, almost makes a mistake.
There he goes.
25 did earlier, tags that 14. We're going to finally get a yellow after all those issues, and let's take a look at the cars that were laps down. 98 of J.R. Shepherd will get your wave around here, so he's going to be happy about that, but there it goes. I mean, just the same mistake that we've seen. Clip a wall, get thrown into a car beside you, and then bring out the caution. This time the 07 spun himself around. I don't think he took anyone else out. He made contact with another couple drivers, but he's not going to be very happy about that, as he had to take a tow as well instead of trying to drive that car back to pit road.
Oh, we got this in car here, and it looked like he just really turned hard left, and this is just not a track that you can turn hard left at any point. And so then he went hard right as well. So once he hit that wall, it was one of those things where he just needed to get out of the gas and get on the brakes just slightly and try and get composure. He was going to lose those 2 spots, but I feel like if he just got it on the brakes a little bit less, he might have had a chance. It was still going to be really difficult to get that car back, but might have had a little bit of a chance there. But nonetheless, he gets the outside wall, and I think he's going to I think he's actually taken that car and already got it in the hauler.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the situation. He had less left to serve, but you're absolutely right. You get 2 Yankee on that wheel, and it's game over, man. It's game over, to quote one of the most famous movies of all time. But one of the things to think about in this series, Austin, is we haven't seen it yet, but there is a 1-hour time limit on the races. And normally 100 laps, you can easily get that done in an hour, especially because caution laps are counted. But the amount of cautions we've seen through this first 40 laps, if this sort of pace keeps up, we might just be on the brink of pushing that, especially if the second half of the race is somehow, some way more caution filled than this first half. But we're very, very close to that half-hour marker as we come up, as we're currently 10 away from the halfway point.
But we are 10 away from the halfway point of the race too, so I think at the rate we're going, if they get another long green flag run, we should be fine. I think this is the 4th caution we've had tonight, so basically if they can reduce the number of cautions, they should be able to finish this thing green flag, and if they get a long green flag run, that'll only help their case. So looks like they're still under the pace car. Yeah, it looks like they're still going. I would have thought that they would have had a green flag by now, but still pacing under the pace car.
I think we're still getting some wave around sorted out. It's going to be the 98 of J.R. Shepherd, who once again is going to be getting sent around the pace car. So maybe it was wrong of me, Austin, to say that he wasn't going to have any of a chance to get back on the lead lap, considering he was 3 laps down. But I think luckily for him, everyone who's gotten involved in these accidents has needed to tow pretty much, and that's locked them 3 laps down as well. And he just managed to be the leading car in that sort of situation, and now he finds himself the lone car 1 lap down, as now we're getting the lights out and forming up.
Well, he's in 11th position, 1 lap down. I mean, that's still not terrible, as he was like almost dead last earlier. So still not a bad situation. It could be still better, but a lot of these drivers have had issues, and he's only benefiting from them.
So 13 of Stefan Alphonse will lead himself, Brian Dean, and the rest of the field to green flag racing here. Pace cars back on pit road as they come off of corner number 4. We wait Stefan Alphonse. We go back to green flag racing, and what a jump from that Mopar machine. He's got 6-7 car lengths through 1 and 2.
It was less of a good start and more of a bad start for that outside. I think Brian Dean might have still been in second gear, which you think second gear is not bad, but these things only have 2 gears. They have first and second, and if you're not in first gear, you are not going to go. So either that or I'm unsure it wasn't on the gas quick enough, but he let the 00 of Matt Shinosky get through, and this is going to be a fun fight to watch because Shinosky's got himself through the field quite nicely, as a few other drivers have too. So being from 9th to 2nd, this will be really fun to see what he's able to do with the leader of Alphonse here. And then the 23 has got to figure a way to maybe get back up there and mix it up because he lost that position, and this is not an easy place to pass. He's going to have to find maybe a good drive on the exit, or be able to get on the inside to prove some use here. And also something that you'll find to be fun is that turn 3 has a little bit of sand there, and obviously shouldn't touch that either. There's a lot of things that you should not touch: the wall, the curbing, the sand, and the grass as well, of course.
So down the back straightaway, they're going to come once again, and Stefan Alphonse is doing a good job of maintaining this gap to the charging Matt Shinosky. And not only has he been managing the gap, but he's been slowly growing it, as we've been seeing that 00 be so dominant on his run through the field. But Stefan Alphonse is outpacing him at the moment, and Brian Dean is doing a good job as well, keeping that 00 honest. We saw that mistake earlier that gave that 00 the second spot, but Brian showing that he wants it back as they work on now toward that front straightaway once again. And really, for the most part, your entire field at this point, single file, Austin, no one really being too aggressive and no one forcing any side-by-side anywhere.
Yeah, I think that's for these drivers, that's going to be really helpful for them to get what they have underneath their tires. It's going to be helpful for anyone back there who thinks they've got a fast car to get through there. Also, I think with the small spree of cautions we have, these guys are thinking, all right, we need to have a long green flag run and to show these guys that I can get past them on a green flag run and not just wait for them to make a mistake, that I'm, better on the track. And so we'll see a couple battles, I'm sure, here soon. Looks like the 14 of Kenny Kibbe. He's looking on the 75 right now, so that might be a good battle. And it's kind of this little 3 group right here between Jeff Sharp, Hayne, and Kenny Kibbe. And then Jeff Sharp went from 16th to 5th, so he's done a great job tonight too, getting through all the madness and getting a little bit of speed. Here comes the 14 on the bottom. Here comes Kibbe, gone to the 75 of Hayne, and the outside, like I said, is going to be proving to be really helpful. And look at the speed he has over him right there.
What is it about this racetrack, Austin? Because I'm seeing the same thing. That top side of the racetrack just seems to be where you want to be, and I see a lot of people fighting loose if they try to get down to the bottom. Is there progressive banking around this Myrtle Beach racetrack though you see at a lot of other short tracks, or is it just the geometry? Because I've not actually driven this Myrtle Beach racetrack, being more of a road course guy and not doing a lot of short track over racing, and Stefan Alphonse gives the wall a bit of a kiss down the front straightaway, but I think he's going to manage that okay. I don't think he hit it too hard. Is it the banking? Is it just the geometry of the corners? What is it about Myrtle Beach that makes the top so good?
There's a lot of things here that make it good, and I think one of the best things to just describe it is the momentum. You just get so much momentum, like you'd expect at a 1.5 mile oval. It's almost the same percentage of how much momentum's up at the top. There's not really a consequence of going into the top 2 if someone's coming behind you. If they get under you, you just are able to power off. It's such a wide corner. These are such wide corners on the bottom. They're just such tight. They're so much tighter, and on a longer run, when your tires start to get worn out, you have to really manage those front tires, those temperatures, and getting on the brakes too hard. You don't have to do that as much on the outside, and so you can really coast. And that's why you're seeing these guys go to the outside. It's a lot easier here to go to the outside, and it's actually a lot faster typically too.
So everyone's still pretty much remaining single file, and Stefan Alphonse, after scraping that outside wall, doing a good job showing that the car, if it is damaged, isn't damaged too much. So we have a little bit of a side-by-side battle here. This is between Lowell Jewell and Donnie Moore. This 13th and 14th on the racetrack, but both of these drivers are multiple laps down, but it's still relevant because, well, Lowell is in a decent points position, 6 points out of your points lead coming into this, and Donnie is of course your points leader. So even though you're this far down the order, you still need to be racing with Donnie really, really hard here. Or if you're Donnie, you need to be racing Lowell right now because the points are so important.
Yeah, these guys will be able to go back and look at this race as being a pretty defining point in the championship if they're not able to at least get another couple points. I mean, J.R. Shepard's stuck where he's at. Chip Dickert's stuck where he's at. But like you said, Lowell and Donnie, they're battling for position right here on the racetrack, just a few laps down. And they both hit the wall. And the 5 is getting the wall just pretty good there. And is able to keep the car in one piece and not waver too much. But Donnie Moore's got to think to himself, if he's hit the wall once, I may be able to get close to him and make a mistake out of him here in the next couple of corners. So I'm sure Donnie's seeing that and waiting for a good moment to pounce. He's not quite there to his bumper, but he might get a chance. This is a good opportunity right here. He's going to get a good jump off of turn number 4. He's going to show the nose just a little bit, but he's going to back off and try again later.
So Donnie is trying to force a mistake out of the slightly struggling number 5 of Lowell Jewell as they work themselves through 3 and 4. Donnie runs the middle, the 5 machine sort of straddling that low line there, and it's going to be a big advantage for the 26. Donnie has a fantastic run across your timing beam, and 5 car not really going to fight him with it, and he easily is going to take over that spot is the charging 26 machine of Donnie Moore. And well, look at the gap he's already opened up for himself, already out to a few car lengths. And now, if you're Lowell Jewell, never mind, that's Chip Dickert behind, and he is 1 lap ahead of Lowell, so that's nothing for him to worry about. But Donnie Moore is going to continue to charge and try to press that margin over the 5 car any way he can.
Yeah, margin and the fact that he should be the first guy to get the lap back. But like the 5 charging back just a little bit here, it's Lowell knows the same thing, that this is a position that does not go in his favor in any sort of way, as the race goes, and definitely as points go. If we get this long of a run, that's the only position he's got to fight for. So one thing he could think about is, hey, I might want to save here because I only risk going 1 lap down in the leaders all the way in turns 3 and 4 right now.
So just checking in on your race leaders. We're actually going to have a side-by-side, I think, between Matt Chinosky and Brian Dean. That's a 23 car, and he's been closing on that 00 the last handful of laps, and he gets it down to the bottom, and he makes that one look easy to Brian Dean, and he takes that 2nd spot away as we're approaching 30 to go.
Yeah, Brian Dean had that mishap on the restart, and he's actually come back through pretty nicely. And I think maybe Matt Chinosky gave him some extra room, knew he's fast, because look at the distance between them, and now look at the distance between himself and the leader. This could be a fight for the win in the lead here just shortly, and we have just a little bit more than 30 laps to go. If Brian Dean's got himself something hooked up, it's time to show it, and he's definitely doing that. You can see that his left side's hit that white line, but hardly go under until he hits turn number 2. Really late apex for him in these corners, at least in turns 1 and 2, and looks like he's able to get through turns 3 and 4 quite nicely as well. But his big advantage, at least I'm seeing, is turn 1 and 2.
So Brian Dean trying to press that advantage right now and try to open up the gap, and he's doing a good job of it. And look at the speed that he's having. I think he's even closing in on that 13 car race leader of Stefan Alphonse as they work through 3 and 4 and up off towards your front straightaway. 31 laps to go at the timing beam, and let's take a look at the lap time. A full 10.5 quicker was that 23 last cycle around the racetrack, and let's see if he can maintain that pace as he runs this time through. I think the 13 is Stefan Alphonse has answered a little bit because it doesn't seem like that gap's closing down nearly as much. But right now, that 23 of Brian Dean Austin is coming on strong when you'd want to be as we're nearing the end of the race. Also, a big gaggle of cars a little further down in your pack. Mike Holloway in 4th, John Hine in 5th, Jeff Sharp in 6th, and Kenny Kibbe in 7th. They've all closed back in together.
Well, this is fun to watch. With the 75, he's going to get the inside wall, and he's going to be able to keep it nice and steady after doing that. But that was really close to being a disaster as Brian Dean actually loses some of that lead, or some of that distance between those two. But wow, that was really close for John Hayne and could have been very disastrous right there. But he's just hit the front wall with the left front tire, and he should be able to keep going. Looks like he's still struggling with the set right now, but still 7th place, still not a bad position to be in after all the chaos tonight. And with a Lace race car, I think I just keep trying to keep those tires cool down is going to be probably one of his main objectives right now.
So race leaders very, very close here as they work themselves. Coming up on 25 to go in this race. We saw a lot of cautions earlier on as we're riding on board with Brian Dean. You just look at the way these drivers are utilizing the racetrack differently here. And Stefan Alphonse gets a little bit loose from the middle groove of the racetrack. This is going to give Brian Dean an opportunity. Coming across the diving beam, Stefan Alphonse still leads, but as they roll through 1 and 2, Brian Dean is going to take your race lead, or no, he's not quite going to get it. Stefan works some momentum up top.
This is what I was talking about. The top so good. It's a little loose up there, but it's also really loose on the bottom. This is a great drag race with 25 laps to go. 13 on the top, 23 in the bottom, but at the 23 is going to have the advantage, able to dive down into turn number 1. But here comes the crossover move from the 13. You saw the 23 go down a little bit. This may not be so nice. He's going to go right down to the bottom, and he's able to stick it. But this is the 23's battle to lose, I'd say, because he has got the position. What a great battle. He tried to cross him over, was not able to get enough there, but he'll have a chance. But look at this big pack in front of him. Lots of drivers right here, laps down. This is a lot of lap traffic that he being Brian Dean is going to have to navigate, and this could be really good for Stefan Alphonse.
That it could, but Stefan, is he going to let this race win just slip away? He's got that 23 car out directly in front of him, and well, that yellow and black machine is going to be so tantalizing to chase after. You see Stefan still working that upper groove of the racetrack, so one has to think that tire conservation as we get in these last handful of laps might go the way of Stefan Alphonse, just working that higher groove. But we've seen him struggle loose with that race car over the course of this one. Lap traffic coming into effect is they're going to deal with the first lap traffic. That's Chip Dickert. Next in line is going to be Mike Allen. You see that 59 car all the way up top. You see both of these drivers have to go single file as come across for 21 laps to go, and Brian not getting any breathing room whatsoever as Stefan, is just lurking right on that rear Nerf bar.
Stefan's very close, and any hiccup, any miscue between any of these drivers with the lap traffic or just themselves is going to set them back with 20 laps to go. 23 gets through the first. Oh, we have a caution. This is going to change everything, and it's going to be Mike Holloway. He spun out, our pole sitter from earlier on. Looks like he might have got a little help.
So caution out there on the racetrack. Pole sitter ends up facing the wrong way, and you know Mike's not going to be very happy about that. Let's take another look at this one in the 31 car, and I believe the 14 machine of Kenny Kibbe is who he got into. And the 14 car down on the bottom, initially I thought he might have came up, but he actually got loose, and then trying to save that car, unfortunately drove up and caught that 31 machine of Mike Holloway and sent him around. I think luckily for Mike though, he didn't seem like he hit anything, so I'm surprised Mike Holloway actually towed that car onto pit road, because he didn't take a big hit. He just sort of bumper hooked him, and then the 31 just sort of went around and came to a stop. He did bash into the right rear wall a little bit with the rear end of the car, but I don't think anything that should have broken that machine.
I think he also went a lap down. I'm unsure if he's just personally taking it down there to for some odd reason, but yeah, I thought he'd be fine. In fact, I know these cars in particular are really sturdy, so I'm not quite sure either, but nonetheless, he is down pit road. The farthest he could go back is 14th position, but even then, that's not really where you want to be. So this sets us up to be having a really fun restart here, Randy, with about less than 20 laps to go, and we're not going. I have very. If I can do math properly, we're not going to hit the time limit. We're definitely going to finish this race with the same amount of laps that we had intended. But this is going to be a fun race to watch between Dean and Alphonse. And you can throw a couple of the other guys in here, like Matt Shinansky. He was in that battle, and then Jeff Sharp from 16th to 4th. Also done a great job tonight.
Yeah, talking about the time delay, we have no issues at all being able to reach that. Pace laps are about 40 seconds, and well, we have 25 minutes to do 17 laps currently here around this racetrack. Oh, it's about to be 16, in fact, so no worries at all about us being able to do that. So we will indeed finish this race within the allocated number of laps that come across the stripe. And Well, for the first time, I think tonight, we can say that it's not J.R. Shepard taking the wave around. It's going to be the 59 car of Mike Allen. That's actually important to think about if you're J.R. Shepard here, Austin, because we saw Mike get put a lap down just before that caution came out. If that caution comes out a few laps earlier, J.R. Shepard is getting the wave around right now, and he's back on the lead lap and really able to fight for points.
Yeah, that's a big deal. I think you hit it right when you just said it. That is man, JR could have got a lot of points back, and just was just in a position he couldn't do anything about. I mean, not like he has anything, not like he can control how fast leaders go and who gets lapped down. So he's gonna have to keep fighting. He's really in no man's land, one lap down and no one around, and no one else is a lap down. So if a caution comes out, then he'll be in good position. But hey, he's in 10th position. He's going to get a top 10 out of this if he just stays where he's at.
That will mean a pole position start for the next race, so that's important for the 98. But we need to talk about this one first. Pace car comes onto pit road, and Brian Dean is going to get a chance to open up a gap. Green flag flies, and we are back to green flag racing down in towards 1 and 2. He's trying to press the advantage. Stephon Alphonse really throws it in up top. Will he be able to get a run on down the back straightaway? Yes, he does, and he closes in about a car length before they turn in for turn 3. But the Stephon is very, very loose and somehow saves that machine, but he's going to lose that second spot.
Oh, no, he hit the outside wall. Oh, wow. Oh, save it. Oh, he's not going. Oh, wow.
Well, he saved it, but he did not save Jeff Sharp, as that's going to send him around and throw him out of the end of the outside retaining wall and put him on his lid. But that 13 car, Stephon Alphonse, Austin, he just spent the better part of half a lap saving that pink and black car.
Yeah, I'm unsure what you're supposed to do as a 73. I mean, if you go down to the top, I mean, you risk him coming back up into you. But if you go to the bottom, you risk that one too. And I was not expecting him to go over, but that was a long slide. He lost it in turn 4, and then eventually clipped the 73 in turn 1. I mean, these guys, I think they definitely should have lifted, but whenever he came off turn 4, but they just ran right into him, and that put him in a power slide, and he just wasn't able to get out of it.
Now here's the big question: is what do you do if you're J.R. Shepard? Because he's going to get this lucky dog for sure. Jeff Sharp is on the same, was in front of him for a moment, but because that 73 is still on pit road, means it's going to default to the 98. That's going to put him on the lead lap. And what do you think you do if you're the 98 car here, Austin? Do you just take the 10th place finish, acknowledging the fact that you're going to be ahead of the likes of Donnie Moore and Tim Shinosky and a handful of other drivers that you're fighting in this championship? Or do you try to go up and get as many positions as you can, and then maybe be in the mid pack or maybe further back if you can somehow drive through this field going to the next race at Southern National Motorsports Park? I think, or excuse me, the next race, the Lions Club 100 at Five Flag Speedway. I think it might actually be better for J.R. Shepard to finish here 9th and 10th and just take the next pole position, considering the gap he would have over some of his competitors who would not get the benefit of the inversion because they're outside of the top 10.
I like that you chose that, because I actually think the opposite. I mean, where's our pole sitter right now? Our pole sitter's in 13th place, and they have nowhere to go. I guess they have a few positions to go, but really, I mean, I'm just thinking to myself, if you can get positions right now, that's more positions you don't have to worry about next week, and you can still finish in maybe like 6th, 7th place or 5th, and those are points that you're going to guaranteed have. You don't have those points guaranteed for next week, and you're literally losing them this week. So that's my take on it, and that's what I would do. But I think if you start from pole next week and you're able to stay up there and it's a good track for you, I think, Randy, that would actually be a good move too.
Yeah, I think as long as J.R. Shepard, it could go either way. I don't see it as a bad way regardless, but he just needs to make sure he can press this advantage he has over his current competitors and at least get a good finish. He just doesn't need to take any big risk, because he has it on a silver platter either way. He either finishes a number of spots ahead in the top 10 and gets pole position next week, or he runs up a bunch of places and finishes really good now, and he still starts in front of a number of them going into next week.
Yeah, I think he's gonna have to start at the end of tail end of the field, so he may not even really have a choice here. But if they get another quick caution, he will be able to do something. But right now, we're gonna watch our leaders here. Pace car's on its way down, and this might possibly be the last restart of the night.
Could it very well be if they run a handful of laps? It will be indeed. It's going to be 6 laps to go at the stripe. No, excuse me, 7 laps to go. We go back to green flag racing. Green is out, 0-0. Machinovsky up top. Terrible restart, and that stacks up the top groove as John Hine, he's going to take that second spot in that red and black 75. They work themselves. We got a big pile up in 1 and 2 though, and this is going to give J.R. Shepard back stacked up at the back of the field. We will get a restart, but I think we'll only have a lap or 2 before we can go green, or before we go to checkers. Excuse me.
Yeah, that's going to involve Chip Dickert. He came up the track. He was on the very bottom of the track, and he just climbed up the track and hit, I believe that's the 90, or the 26 of Donnie Moore, who's already had a bad night as it is. And yeah, he just went right up into him. I mean, there was a lot of space there on the bottom, and I guess the 26 came down a little bit, but I mean, there's about a lane and a half down there. So Donnie's still going to be 3 laps down. But he'll still be able to fight Mike Holloway, Jeff Sharp, Chip Dickert again. Dickert's probably going to go to the tail end of the field on this one, but more or less just a stall because, I mean, none of those cars are really too damaged. So I think if you're Brian Dean, you kind of just say darn it, because that was his race at that point. I mean, no one was catching him after that restart. But I'll say that this lead, if he gets another great restart, that's basically done at this track. But those guys back there are trying to fight for themselves too. I mean, you've got 4 cars on the 3 laps down mark, and all 4 of those positions are up for grabs too, and points are there.
Yeah, you're right, but I definitely agree with Brian Dean here. The way that caution came out sort of doesn't really help him in any way. Yeah, he gets a handful of laps counted under yellow flag conditions, but still going to restack the field up behind him, and he was gifted a potential opportunity to run away with this one. So at the risk of sounding too vulgar, I'm going to have to quote SpongeBob here, and Brian Dean's probably sitting there thinking tartar sauce to himself under that race car, but not a lot of laps in this one. So who's your pick? Brian Dean, John Hine? Think Machinovsky might have something of it, granted he just had that terrible restart.
Yeah, it's got to be Brian Dean here. I think he's shown his worth. He's come up through the few positions that he's had to get to first, and since he's got there, he's just shown a lot of speed. And they don't have the 2 to go yet, so next time by they'll get the 1 to go, and it'll be a 1-lap shootout actually. So he's just got to make 1 lap, and that's if they get the green flag. I mean, I'm not sure if they have 2 to go, but I could definitely assume they have it right now. But these caution flags, I don't feel were as long earlier, but they are now. But
well, they have an extra 1 to do wave rounds.
Oh, that's right. So with Brian now doing now being able to get the 1 to go this time, and then the white flag the next time by, I think this is going to be really good for him.
So they come off toward the front straightaway, and this is going to be our signifier of if we're getting a restart or not. And they're forming up, and lights do go out, so we will be getting a restart here. 1 lap, half a mile to decide the Chris Kyle Frog Foundation 100 live from Myrtle Beach Speedway here on LSRTV. So pace car getting ready to turn down on towards pit road at the end of the back straightaway, and then it will be all on Brian Dean, I feel, to just get a good restart. Don't flip the tires, don't be too happy on the throttle, and I think the 23 car has this one in the bag. But can John Hine, Machinovsky, Stefan Alphonse prove me wrong? Green flag flies. 23, nice smooth throttle application through 1 and 2. They're gonna go for the final time. 23 car working off the bottom of the racetrack. Machinovsky, he wants that second spot though, and he gets it done almost on John Hine, but no, he's gonna go around. There's gonna be a big pileup. Who's gonna finish second? It's gonna be Stefan Alphonse, who goes from 4th to that second spot. Dustin Powers 3rd, and J.R. Shepard, because of that pileup, he's gonna end up with a top 5 tonight.
Oh my goodness, you could just tell those guys really went into the corner just too hard, and the 75 just caught the left rear. I think maybe he thought he was on the outside, but just flat out ran into him with his left front. And the 13 at one point probably thought, oh, I'm over, this is over, but he was able to bump the 00 out of the way, I think, and the other 3 drivers get out of the way, and the 98 is able to get by all those guys, the 95 as well, or the 59 as well. And wow, that's crazy. He'll start there too.
Yeah, that number 13 card is having another look. He was gifted a huge opportunity with the way the 75 car came back down the racetrack, because the 75 had sort of broken traction on the rear tires, and that's when the 13 car hit him square on in the rear end, and that basically just continued to send the 75 car around. And sort of one of those things, it may not seem like it makes sense, but once those tires lose traction, it's easier when you hit someone to keep sending that car around than it is to initially send someone around. But regardless, that is going to be the checkered flag on this race. And so with that, let's go down your post-race results here on LSRTV. So Brian Dean will take the race win in that number 23 car. Stefan Alphonse will finish second. Dustin Powers third. James Lowe fourth. And J.R. Shepard, he'll round out your top five somehow.
Yeah, right. I'm shocked too, but Mike Allen, he does finish sixth after getting really loose on those last couple corners. Matt Shinowski finishes seventh. Kenny Kibbe will finish in the 8th position, with John Hayne 9th, and Mike Holloway, he finishes in the 10th position tonight.
11th spot's going to be Jeff Sharp, Donnie Moore 12th, Chip Dicker 13th, Lowell Jewell 14th, Tim Shinowski 15th, John Holcomb 16th, Todd Liston 17th, and Eric Nordhoff, he will round out the 18 car field. In this one, only the top 9 finish on the lead lap tonight. We're going to step aside for a couple moments on LSR TV, catch our breath, figure out what we just saw, and the fact that as exciting as it was, and then we will be back. So do not go away.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of LSRTV and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Live Sim Racing LLC and iRacing.com Motorsport Simulations. LSRTV would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.
Welcome back here to to LSR TV. Oh, it almost happened. It almost slipped out, but I caught myself as we are back with coverage here of your Outlaw Modified Series from the Bootleg Racing League. And well, let's just kick it off with the post-race coverage. As interviews, we're going to be stood by with that 23 car of Brian Dean, race winner tonight from Myrtle Beach. And we got him up in the booth. Brian, it was a caution-filled race tonight, but at the end of the day, you can come from 6th to 1st and take victory here in this one. How are you feeling?
Feeling great. My first one here after 4 second-place finishes.
Well, it's always nice to know that you're going to be going into the next round starting 10th instead of 9th. Even though it might be a little bit more sour next week, it'll be nice and sweet for right here, right now. But early on in this season, we had the first handful of races were pretty much dominated by the drivers that started out in front. This race pretty much went the other way, and we had a lot of drivers move up the field. You picked up 5 spots on your way to 1st. Dustin Powers goes from 15th to 3rd. Mike Allen goes from 11th to 6th. J.R. Shepard, well, JR went from dead last to 5th because he was that initial caution to start out the night. He managed to drive his way all the way back through the field. Why do you think we've seen that shift as the season's gone on?
Oh, I'm not sure. I was able to save tires a little bit during that long green flag run that we did have. And going through 3 and 4 was super slick. So if you got on that gas a little bit, you're gonna get loose. So maybe a lot of people had troubles with that. That would be my guess.
And now we talked to Austin a little bit about tires around this racetrack here at Myrtle Beach, but how is it for you in the car? What are some of the unique challenges of this racetrack, both just driving it and trying to conserve the tires of their over 100 lap event?
Turn 1 and 2, if you're able to diamond and just catch those strips right at the end coming out of 2, and just keeping your wheels straight when you get on the throttle. 3 and 4, you couldn't get on the throttle until your wheel was straight. So.
Lions Club 100 from Five Flags next week. Can you go from 10th to 1st?
Gonna give it my best.
Well, thank you for joining us, Brian, and congratulations on the big win here at pretty much the halfway point of the championship. Before we let you go, any shout-outs or who would you like to thank?
I'd like to thank you guys for the broadcast, and Lowell for putting us on, and the Chris Kyle Frog Foundation for sponsoring the race.
Well, that was Brian Dean, race winner in this one, and Austin, I believe you're going to be stood by with someone who pretty much had the Red Sea part in front of him. That's Mr. Stefan Alfond, who comes home in second.
I'm going to get a hold of Stefan here, and Stefan, you get I'd say a break right here before the race ends. You had a shot at getting the lead back, and a caution came out, and you didn't get the restart you wanted. And then turn 3, it just seemed like calamity. You kind of push them out of the way, but that's sometimes racing, and you end up second place. What happened there in turn number 3?
I have no idea. I just drove in normally, and I just saw a car sideways, and I prayed that I could get by in the hole there, and I was really happy it did. I mean, not happy for Matt and Sean, but I was happy for myself to just get P2 back.
Well, this helps you a bunch in the points. I mean, this basically puts you in the lead, and with what would have been a sizable lead, but J.R. Shepard was able to kind of reel you back in at the very last moment. But you should have the points lead going into the next race, and it's still going to be close between you two. You're going from 3rd to 1st basically, but I guess one of the biggest things is, how do you feel about these races coming in the future? Southern Nationals just on the horizon, and these are not your typical short tracks that are just go around and make laps. I mean, this track was pretty difficult, and I think we saw that tonight.
Yeah, I think tonight was mostly difficult because the cars were just loose. I don't know, the track was completely loose the whole night. But the coming races we'll have to see. Last season I won Southern National in the late model, so I'm pretty confident. And oh no, that was New Smyrna. Well, but I'm pretty confident in the next races, and it's all for fun, and it's going to be great fun again.
Well, we enjoyed talking to you, and before we let you go, who makes it happen for you?
I just want to give a shout out to all the guys for keeping it clean, to Lowell for organizing this every time, to the Frog Foundation for sponsoring us, and obviously to iRacing for even giving us the possibility to race these cars, because there's like no other sim that does it.
All right, there you have it, Stefan Alphonse. He'll finish 2nd place tonight, and then I'll throw it back to Randy, who will catch up with the next driver.
Yep, I'm stood by with our 3rd and final interviewee of the night. That's the 25 of Dustin Power in that yellow-black DeWalt machine. Dustin, it was an interesting night for you. We only talked about you a couple times all night that I can recall, and both times I think that 25 car was involved in some issues out there on the racetrack, but somehow you go from 15th to 3rd to get yourself that 3rd place finish tonight. How did you rebound? As I dragged the wrong driver into the channel. Great. Flawless victory. No one having my back here in the booth. Wonderful. But now we're stood by with with Dustin. I am just confused now. Dustin, 25 car, yellow and black, DeWalt. We only talked to you a couple times all night. You got a 3rd place finish. How did you manage to rebound after the only times we got to talk to you with you rebounding from some trouble?
I just tried to stay consistent and avoid all the trouble out there. Tough track. It was getting real loose in 3 and 4, but just stayed consistent and tried to avoid all the accidents.
Now, it's been an interesting lineup of tracks the last handful of weeks. You went from Martinsville, which is, of course, an interesting track, the Bull Ring, Myrtle Beach tonight, and the next week we go to Five Flags, all racetracks that have very unique things. What are some of the things you're looking for at Five Flags next week that you need to watch out for on track?
I'm sure it just depends on the track temperature, but that track tends to get a little loose coming out of the corner. Just try to keep it together, man.
Well, that's always something you need to do. And coming into this race, Dustin, you were in not the greatest of championship situations, only 15 points back from Donnie Moore. You were in the 10th spot in the championship, so about midway when you consider the number of drivers in the field. This should give you a bit of a boost up. You think this is a nice time to start getting some good finishes, getting some podiums, and maybe carry this momentum to the end of the season?
Yeah, trying to keep it consistent. I had a bad finish last week. It happened to wreck out, but yeah, hopefully to put some momentum on my side.
Well, thank you once again, Dustin, for joining us, and congratulations on the big third place finish tonight, especially from 15th on the grid. That is a big rebound. Before we let you go, any shout outs, or who would you like to thank for this performance?
I'd like to thank you guys for broadcasting, and Lowell for putting this on for us, and the Frog Foundation for sponsoring the race tonight.
Well, thanks as always, Dustin. Good luck in going out next week.
Thank you.
Well, Austin, is an entertaining night of racing, a lot of action, a lot of thrills, a lot of spills. What are your closing thoughts as we close out here on Myrtle Beach?
This is a fairly new racetrack, and I think a lot of these guys may have underestimated the track, but one guy who didn't was your winner tonight, and really got to think that we had a lot of fun side-by-side racing at times, and that was some really big spills like you were talking about, but in the end was a really thrilling night to watch in the end.
Well, thank you for tuning in here on LSRTV. This has been the Outlaw Modified Series for the Bootleg Racing League. As always, these guys put on a fantastic show, and this was, of course, the Chris Kyle Frog Foundation 100 from Myrtle Beach. Next week, Lions Club 100 coming at you from Five Flags. But don't go away here on LSRTV. We're going to be coming right back at you with some more racing action. It's going to be the United Sim Racing B&C Lawn and Landscaping Truck Series coming at you for round number 16 from USA International. Don't want to miss it. Bye-bye.